Does running your business ever feel like you're stuck inside a washing machine on the heavy-duty spin cycle? Everything's just tumbling. Days blur together, work gets done, money comes in, people, they look busy. But honestly, you can't tell what's actually moving up the needle. Socks are mixed up with pants, pants with underwear, underwear with t-shirt. Nothing quite lands where it's supposed to. Outcomes, they feel random, meetings drag on forever, and somehow every decision, even the smallest, the tiniest ones, still end up back on your desk. If that spin cycle exhaustion sounds way too familiar, I want you to hear this. It's not your people, it's not a lack of effort or hustle, it's not lack of motivation, it's almost always a structure problem. So imagine you finally step out of the washing machine for a second, you catch your breath, and boom, everything snaps into focus. Suddenly, those blurry lumps, they have names. The socks, well, that's the daily admin chaos nobody's really owning. The pants, those are operational leadership pieces that are missing in action. The t-shirts, those are delivery inconsistencies that keep biting you at the worst moments. And the underwear, yeah, that's the basic HR stuff like time off requests, onboarding, performance check-ins, that somehow still lands on your plate because no one else has clear ownership. Once you can actually name what's tumbling around in there, the guessing stops, the blur disappears. You're no longer reacting to a chaotic pile. You're looking at a clear, if messy, load of laundry. And now you know exactly which pieces need to be sorted, folded, or straight up replaced. What most owners tell themselves and me is we're just a little disorganized. We're moving fast. That's the trade-off. If we could just communicate better. But here's what's actually going on under the hood. Nobody truly owns anything end to end. Nobody has real, unambiguous authority to say yes or no and make it stick. There's no shared, up-to-date picture of how the whole business actually runs. So you end up with really capable people relying on tribal knowledge, duct tape workarounds, and heroic last-minute saves. That combo doesn't scale. It creates predictable drift, not real growth. Here's the reframe almost everyone misses. Your org chart isn't just a pretty diagram for the employee handbook. It's the business. It literally defines how work is supposed to flow, who's accountable for which outcomes, who gets to make which decisions, and who has to escalate and to whom when things go sideways. And they will, okay? But without clear current org structure that everyone can see and agree on, the vision stays locked in your head. Decisions keep floating back up to you. And accountability turns into guilt trips, blame, or endless we need to talk conversations. You're not disorganized. You're unstructured. And until that changes, the spin cycle just keeps spinning. So if you're still deep in the spin cycle, here are 3 signs you feel, and you feel them every single day. Everyone's slammed, heads down, working hard, but results are all over the map. Meetings end up with, well, we'll figure it out. Tasks get done, but no one's neck is really on the line for the actual outcome. Ownership isn't written anywhere. It's floating in Slack threads. Vague promises, and I thought you were handling that moments. So performance becomes, let's say, inconsistent, not because people are slacking, but because nobody truly owns the finish line. Decisions, big and small, keep landing back in your inbox, your DMs. It's not that your team is incapable. It's that no one knows for sure who gets to say yes or no without checking with you first. You've become the default operating system. Approve the vendor, sign off on the copy, pick the logo shade, decide if we run that ad. Every escalation isn't about skill, it's about missing, unclear, or never assigned authority. You're the bottleneck by design, not by choice. The big vision, the thing that got you out of the bed and excited you to build this, is still mostly living in your head. You can see the whole map, the destination, the why behind every move, but without a clear structure to carry it, the vision doesn't travel. It stays trapped upstairs, down on the floor. People are grinding on tasks, checking boxes, hitting deadlines, but they're not rowing in the same direction because the direction never fully left your brain. They're executing activities, not advancing a shared mission. If any or all of those hit you square in the chest, that exhausted feeling isn't random. It's the natural byproduct of trying to run a growing business on an invisible, outdated, or half-imagined operating system. Okay, so much of the doom and gloom, right, that I've been talking about here the past few minutes. So let me give you a quick real-world example from my own experience. I once stepped into an IT team that looked productive on paper. Tickets, well, they were closing, projects were moving forward, but every single recurring task turned into coordination chaos. Endless discovery meetings, people saying, I think that's my part, or maybe yours. It was classic overlap and gaps hell. We didn't try to work harder or communicate better. We did something simpler and way more powerful. We stepped outside the machine. We drew clear swim lanes, actually defined responsibilities with zero overlap. We mapped the real flow of work. We documented the expected outputs, standardized the tools, built checklists so nobody had to reinvent the wheel every time. So the results, right? Work became repeatable and predictable. Efficiency shot up. We actually needed fewer people to get the same or more work done. Morale climbed because people stopped feeling like they were failing at invisible expectations. And yeah, the bottom line followed. That same framework has worked over and over and over again in different teams, different industries. Here's the bottom line truth. Nobody wants to hear, but everyone eventually learns. You can't fix bad execution without fixing the organization underneath it. You can't scale without crystal clear assigned ownership. You can't delegate without real delegated authority. The org chart isn't red tape or bureaucracy. It's clarity. It's your view from outside the spin cycle. Everything sorted, labeled, and ready to grow. When structure is in place, it creates freedom. No more guessing games. Politics, well, they die down because lanes are clear. Decisions happen fast because authority lives where it belongs. People stay in their lane, move with confidence, and actually enjoy the work. And this is exactly why throwing AI at the problem without structure first is a disaster waiting to happen. Automation doesn't fix chaos. It just makes the chaos louder, faster, and much more expensive. Fuzzy roles plus unclear ownership plus AI equal amplified confusion, eroded trust, and a whole new level of spin. So the order is non-negotiable really. Structure first, org chart first, and always. If this is hitting home and you're tired of being the human bottleneck in your own business, you want to talk about what the first real step looks like for you? So here's the no guesswork first step I always point people to. Stop spinning for a minute and actually diagnose where the friction lives. I put together something dead simple called the Clarity Scorecard. It's designed exactly for situations like yours. Quick, honest, and zero fluff. In under 10 minutes, it walks you through targeted questions on how clear or fuzzy your actual structure and roles really are, where real ownership lives versus just living in conversations or assumptions, who has legitimate decision authority, and where everything still funnels back to you, how mature your systems, processes, and handoffs actually are. You get a straightforward score, plus a breakdown that lights up the biggest leaks and blind spots right away. No long forms, no vague results, just a clear map of what's broken so you can fix the right things first. Take it here, link down below, theclarityengine.co. Clarity isn't some optional polish you add later when things are calmer. It's the foundation. Everything else stands on. Growth, delegation, AI tools, your own peace of mind. Without it, you're just automating or scaling chaos. You've already carried this spin cycle long enough. Give yourself the 10 minutes. See what's really in the drum. Then you can decide exactly what to tackle next. With eyes wide open, your move, the machine only stops spinning when you hit pause and get it clear.